really to ask ourselves everything that revolves around a donation form. So we won't talk too deep into specific solutions, but really we're going to set up the ground of what are the questions we need to ask ourselves when we want to have an online form. So in terms of solution, but of course in terms of strategy that we need to implement alongside, because just having a technical solution out there won't make the donation flow in by themselves, of course. So I hope everybody is agreeing to for us to record this this session. We don't need to have the camera in place for the participants to in terms of bandwidth. Welcome to the newcomers. You can keep muted, but of course, if you have a question alongside, don't hesitate to stop me. You can also write your question down and we'll address it at the end, but don't hesitate to be interactive in there. Don't hesitate to be here. This is a safe space. We're all together and we won't use anything you say against you, of course. So anytime, and you can of course interrupt at any stage. So I will be your host today for this webinar. I'm Gregor van Blan. I'm a nonprofit cloud consultant with the certification there. So I gravitate around Salesforce only, of course, and specialize with 98% of nonprofit clients. I have a political science background. I do guitar and gardening in my hobbies. And as you can see, and that is the reason why we're having this webinar later than expected, because the 2 days before the last date provided, I got in a fight with a car and lost. So I'm still curing a broken shoulder, but I have the left hand free, so I can switch the slides and make this presentation to you. Any questions so far before we go into our agenda? Wonderful. So today we'll discuss, as I said, so a brief introduction of Nexell and what we do, what we are as a Salesforce partner, and then we'll dive deep and ask the questions that you need to address to identify your needs. And then we'll review 4 key points of private fundraising strategy through online donation forms. And of course, the Q&A will follow up with your questions. But as I said, I'll say it again, you can interrupt me at any time to keep this session interactive as much as possible. So what is Nexell? So we're the first non-profit, the first Salesforce partner in Europe since 2002. We're in there, and we help our clients to build better relationships, optimize the processes through Salesforce implementation. So we are focused on Salesforce, but of course, everything that can be integrated in there, we can make it, of course, as many of you already know. So we have a various range of clients, from the corporate world to the nonprofit side. The nonprofit side is a huge part of our activities, and the vast majority of my. We adapted to every size of organization, international and local organization. Of course, we have a huge knowledge of the Swiss system, but as we'll see later on, there are some questions you can ask yourself if you have a more international focus, especially with donation form. But we'll go through this very soon. So let's dive into it. What are the needs that you need to identify? Because everybody would like a donation form, but there are various solutions around there that can address the donation form needs, but can go even beyond. And Vincent, that is on this call, can definitely vouch for that with the offline fundraising that the solution that he provides can allow you to do. So basically, let's look at examples of donation form that were implemented by Nexell. So here you can have a very simple one. So that's basically on your website, a button donate located everywhere. You click on donate, you say if it's a recurring or one-time donation. You put the amount and you click next, put your name and email, and the donation is being pushed to your CRM on the other side. You can, of course, see different examples of payment coming from different solutions. We won't cover all of them today, and that can definitely be done in a follow-up call to identify your needs. And as you see here, there are various ways of doing it. You can have different amounts that are pre-established, and you can have also different ways of payment, different means of payments that are also dependent on the solution that you are using. So about these features that we want to have. So of course, the basic one that we all know about is the one of donation. You just set up your credit card, you set up an amount, you make a donation, get an email, maybe everybody's happy, and you might come back later on to get another one. The second feature that is very, very important, and that is really getting more and more used and more pushed by NGOs. And for one reason is that on a 3-year period, you can take a sample of one of the donations and the donors attached to it, and a sample of recurring donations. On the first year, you get more with the one-off, but after 2 years, it's stabilized, and after 3 years, you get a huge and more significant amount with a recurring donations. And all of this is because of the engagement of someone who is giving every month, keeps in touch with you, keeps having some emails and some thank you letters that come in, and those people usually stay on it and keep on supporting you throughout the years. Some data that I had from Raise Now, they are a bit dated now, I think from 2018, is that 93% after 1 year, 93% of recurring donation are still running, and after 2 years, it goes down to 83%, which is a very little churn rate. So always very interesting to have recurring donation and to kind of push for that and promote this type of engagement from the donor. Any question on the two first donations, so one-off and recurring? Any question on that? We won't go deep in the Salesforce environment because that will be a separate question. But is everybody comfortable and knows what one-off and recurring are? Okay. Wonderful. So now that we have that covered, we can get into some more special features that solutions can provide you. And we'll start with the peer-to-peer campaign. So a peer-to-peer campaign, can anyone move forward and explain to our others what is a peer-to-peer campaign? Don't be afraid. If not, I can of course cover it, but to keep it interactive. Anyone? Okay, so I'll go for it. So a peer-to-peer campaign is basically allowing your supporters to promote a fundraising campaign for you. So as you know, your best promoters are the people who already support you. They're already made maybe a one-off or a recurring donation, and they might get involved even beyond. And a peer-to-peer campaign is basically a tool that allows them to build a specific page with their name, the goal of their campaign. It can be someone preparing a marathon and will be saying, I want to fundraise a certain amount for this NGO that I'll support for this marathon. And on your website, you can have this availability for them to just build a fundraising campaign, a peer-to-peer campaign, and they will be promoting on their social media and for their family, their friends to actually pay donations, and there will be actually like a volunteer fundraising officer for your organization. So it can be with physical events that are getting very rare, unfortunately, in this context. But peer-to-peer campaign can also be with other tools such as Mountain Rush that can build maybe a dematerialized campaign. You say you're going to run up a specific hill, run up the Himalayas, but just by doing your daily training, and you're going to apply the distance on a specific objective. And this type of campaign can really allow to get some huge interaction, to promote also some of your programs. We've seen the WWF doing a campaign where you had to climb the Kilimanjaro virtually, but you are seeing all the conservation programs that they had to protect the nature or the species that are around this mountain. So those can be very, like, it's kind of the new age thing to push, and peer-to-peer campaign are really provided to be a huge deal for most NGOs, and it's really important to do it. Another example of peer-to-peer campaign that is very known is Movember. The people growing a mustache in November and posting pictures of the evolution of it. And this is one of the first really successful peer-to-peer campaign that was made, if I'm not mistaken, in Australia, to promote with testicular cancer or prostatic cancer. It was around a man cancer, and they built this campaign that is now going on for years and that has raised millions for this cause. Any question on the peer-to-peer campaign? Okay, so we can move down to the memberships. So membership is not, so to speak, a feature there, but most of you guys must have a membership program. So people can pay, for example, 50 francs, or a company can pay maybe a collective fee for 100 francs and be a member of your organization. So this can allow to be voting at the General Assembly once a year. And of course, this is not considered as a donation, because as you all know, for a donation, you can have a tax receipt issued if the person is living where you allow to emit tax receipts. So if the donor is in Switzerland, you're a Swiss-based organization with the public utility status, you'll be able to emit tax receipts. But you cannot do that on a membership, since a membership is something people pay for and get something in return, that is the right to vote, or maybe some access to a specific status in there, be on the plate. Those things have a counterpart, and this is not considered as a donation. So you need absolutely to treat them separately, the memberships and the donations, because you cannot emit a tax receipt. So basically, if we come back to our slide here, you'll have to have a specific donation form for your membership, and this needs to be flagged out when it will be pushed to your CRM, because once the person fills out its information, you don't want it to be created as a normal donation, so you need to flag it as a membership on this specific form, and afterwards you'll be able to have your membership work for the renewal, check if the people are eligible to be voting at your General Assembly or just to attend it, if they are eligible to be on your annual dinner of support, things like that. So you want to have those people flagged in. Salesforce is managing out of the box with the NPSP the memberships, but your donation form must be telling this information on the other side. Any question on this membership side? Maybe some of you didn't know that and might have to address very quickly this because you might have to reimburse to the tax authorities if they spot you as giving tax receipts for membership. So don't hesitate to get in touch with us if you are in this situation. It is quite common, and so don't hesitate to get back to us, and we can maybe work it out for you, or see what the roadmap should be. On the next point, we have the acknowledgements and the tax receipts. So acknowledgements and tax receipts are two different things. Usually the acknowledgements, you want an email to go right after the donation has been coming into your organization. So you get a gift. It's either on the solution you have or on Salesforce that an email will trigger and will thank the person that donated. You can personalize, of course, those emails depending on the campaign they donated or specific allocation, maybe a COVID-19 campaign. You want to say, thank you for your donation to the COVID-19 fund, things like that. This is very important to actually acknowledge and personalize as much as possible. Those automated messages to not give the impression to the donor that he's just having a bot on the other side that just triggers an email and there is no real follow-up. On the other hand, a tax receipt usually is issued at the end of the year. So most NGO do it either in January, February to give the tax receipt to the donors before they do their taxes before March. So that is basically how it's done. And so this can be managed either from the solution itself. So you can have your donation form, you build in your donation, and then the email triggers from the donation form supplier. Second way is to build it within Salesforce. Of course, there is no good or bad solution in there. It's always a question of what will be the easiest thing to implement, what would be the lowest cost to implement this. As Salesforce, it's pretty easy to build an email template and fire it with the automation. You get in touch with your Salesforce partner, and that can be built very, very easily, and it needs to be addressed with a smart approach to give as much personalization as possible. Any question on the acknowledgements and tax receipts? Okay, so let's move to our last feature. Very uncommon actually to use this in Switzerland and throughout Europe. It's coming in, but this is really coming from the US. And the matching donation is basically a campaign you built with a corporate, usually a corporate partner. And this corporate partner is going to say to its employee, we launch a campaign to support this NGO. And every donation that you make through this campaign will be doubled by the company. So this is a great way of getting new supporters, because you'll get the information of the employees that has supported you. You'll be able to get them in the loop in your circle of supporters, and also get a double impact of your campaign. So usually this, either the company has a system as itself to manage this, or you'll have to provide it with a campaign there, and be able to manage this donation, calculate the soft and hard credits with what is being paid by the company, what is being paid by the employee himself, and to kind of make sense out of all this complicated data that may come in. So having a matching donation, it's very good when you have a company willing to support you through volunteering or fundraising campaign. You can really tell them, instead of just giving us a grant of 5,000, engage your employees, and that way you can have the support of the company that you already secured, but also enhance and enlarge your database of supporters and your individual donors. So that is basically everything that we need to look at on the donation form solutions that you have in front of you. You'll need to be able to know what are the priorities that you have, and of course, when you engage in such a project, you want to know, okay, what is our priority right now, but also think, do we want to do peer-to-peer and matching donation in 2 years? And that way you might want to avoid locking yourself in a simple, easy to implement solution that you'll need to retire and replace later on. So it's always good to think on the long-term view to kind of get the proper return on investment and avoid doing little projects in a position to have like a whole understanding of your strategy, the solution that are needed to match to complete the strategy, to fulfill the strategy, and the timeline that you want to have in terms of implementation and in terms of communication effort that you want to have to promote this strategy alongside the technical setup of a simple domain form. Any question before we move to the next slide? Okay, so we can dive in and talk about the strategy, which is basically the question that you need to ask yourself anytime you have a technical need. You should always put it in perspective with a strategy that you're going to have at the short term and the long term, of course, to get to the right questions. So within your strategy, you have two different things. So building it, we'll go later onto that, but let's have this last consideration on the solution vetting that you'll need. So we've seen before what are the different features and the maximum features that we want, and now how to vet the solution, how to find the right fit for your organization. Every organization is of course different, and we need to address those points separately there. So you have the first question of any solution vetting, of course, the pricing. You can ask yourself with the pricing model that they have, is it a commission on the donation? Is it a flat fee that you're going to pay monthly and get little or no commission on the donations? So that is really important to know this pricing plan, to kind of project your fees along the way and see that it's not increasing too much and that it is not making your donation costs. So donation costs is basically if you raise £1, how many is actually getting on your bank account? And that is a key question to ask yourself before getting in there, because you want to keep as narrow as possible the cost per franc that you raise. And normally, online fundraising is one of the cheapest thing that you can have in opposition to face-to-face fundraising, where you can have all the way up to 30% fees on every francs that you're gonna raise, because there is some manpower, some actions, some hardware also for face-to-face fundraising with the little stands that they have when they approach people on the street. So second question is the cost of implementation. There are some more expensive solutions, but that are actually cheaper in implementation. That is never a good news for us at Nexell, of course, but what we want to have is the best return on investment for you. And so we'll always advise with the best way between the pricing, recurring cost, and the cost of implementation that will occur. So when we were talking before about the acknowledgement email, if you have out-of-the-box acknowledgement email in your solution, you won't have to build them in Salesforce, and so that might be slightly cheaper in terms of implementation. But you want to know what are the right thing to trigger and what is the right tool to use there. On the third point, that is a very important thing that is really needed to be addressed at the early stage, and that you need to challenge always the provider about it. So it's the agility to deploy an ad hoc donation page and to do it easily. Basically, you are an emergency response NGO. You have a campaign that you need to deploy in 24 hours because you need the funds in for a catastrophe that happened. You need the funds in to send your team abroad, things like that, and you are in emergency to get a quick donation there. So there, if you go with a foundation, if you go with a high net worth individuals, it's going to take weeks to get there. So the quickest way to actually get some money in is usually to have a donation page, a donation campaign that you put on an online page, and you say, people support now. People are when people are in distress, or when there is some very quick action to take, and that the funds need to be deployed there. So that is a key questions. We have here Vincent from FinDoc. It is very easy now to build ad hoc donation page on Heroku Salesforce. So there in about 5 minutes. You can build a donation page, deploy it, and have it ready, and then promote this page for people to land on it with emails, with social media posts, with talk to the press, and things like that. So that is key to be able to deploy those easily. Next point is really key, and I mentioned it before. Depending on the area that you are covering. So if you're only Swiss-based, so here I put you the two example of Twint and PostFinance. If you raise most of your fund in Switzerland, you will want to have this feature available, because a lot of people use Twint and use PostFinance, and this can allow you to get some money in with every possible mean specific to the Swiss context. If you're in a more international fundraising strategy, there you want to have the American Express. You might want to have PayPal. Call it whatever. Every donation solution has a certain set of payments processing that they can accept. A lot of them are based on other services to process the payments, but you'll need to be very clear on that to be able to get the means of payment that your target donors will want to pay you with. Again, acknowledgement and tax receipt, I already mentioned it before. This is key to know if this is handled from the solution or if you need to build it from Salesforce. Both ways are easy, both ways usually work well, but you want to know what it is. And also the tax receipt to be able to issue PDFs. Not all solutions provide this, and you need to be very clear on that. Do you expect to have some PDF generated? Might require a third-party solution that will plug on Salesforce to send the tax receipt at the end of the year. But those are key information to get. And of course, the matching gift and peer-to-peer fundraising are a question that you need to ask yourself, not only now, but in the future, but because it might be on everyone's head to do that in the next 2 to 3 years. Any question on the solution vetting that we have here? Okay, so we can move to the last, and I wanted to put that last. It's the first question, of course, that you need to ask yourself, but I wanted really for you to keep those 4 points as the major takeaway from this webinar. And this is really the question you need to ask yourself. It is the question that we ask at Nexell when we run the early workshops with you. Some of you guys have been witnessing it with me or with one of my colleagues. And this is really the different sets that we need of questions that we need to ask yourself to get there, because what you want to do is get some money in, get some funds in to support your programs. That is no question there. But how do we reach that? And this is done by these 4 points. So how to know them, how to qualify them, how to reach them, and so the means of reaching and the way you reach them. So you want to engage them to actually make the donation. And the last key point, and this is never enough mentioned, the last key point is to nurture your donor. I've seen a lot of organizations that are actually putting a lot of effort to acquire some new donors, some new corporate funding, some new donors, but do not address the issue of renewal, how to nurture, how to cherish those existing donors so they carry on and keep on donating for you, engage in other means, and as we saw with peer-to-peer fundraising or volunteering, we can really put on some solution to your donor and supporters to keep them as a supporter in the long run. So let's get a bit more in details with this. So the know your donor. So this is usually managed from Salesforce itself. This is how you're going to build your accounts and contact in there. So your donors database, but also your partners. And you need to be very clear on that because they might overlap. You might have someone that did a matching gift within his company, but also volunteered for you and made a donation. And you want to know all of this, and you want to see it in a comprehensive manner when you're on that person's page. When you want to get in touch with him, when you want to give him a call, send an email for a specific campaign, you want to know who they are, what they like to support, what your program are they most sensitive about when you have many programs in your organization. So that is something you need to qualify, you need to keep track of. And there is many ways of actually feeding this data. It can be from the form on the donation page. When the person is giving to, I don't know, the like domestic violence, you know this person will be sensitive in those type of programs. And when you want to engage them again, send them an email, you won't give them about a food bank. You will focus on what they support, what they are maybe sensitive of, because every person has its own history, its own legacy, and its own empathy there, because you will connect to the persons that you're giving for, that you want to support. And you need to find that connection. And I am saying that very cynically, but you know my heart is in the right place. But cynically, you need to leverage the information that you have with them to get them to support and put their support at the right spot. So of course, as I said, you track record of all the contributions. So of course, donation, you have a donation form online. This will fit the data, you know what gift, what amount, and when, what means of payment. But there are other information that you want to populate yourself. So the volunteering information, usually you can have an online form that will they will apply on, but then you want to track if they are a good volunteer, what are the skills, all of this. You need to feed your database with this information, and that is done by every team member of your organization. Last thing, the in-kind also can be stored in Salesforce. Of course, usually not through a donation form. That will be done. The person will send an email. I have some computers I would like to donate. I have some clothes I would like to donate. And this has to be logged in, because when you get into this person page, you want to see, oh, this John Frey has done in-kind, he's a member, but he also made some volunteering. Oh, it never made a donation. Maybe we want to engage into that, or every possible way around. So don't hesitate to log this information, have a comprehensive stakeholders qualification, and leverage this database for your communication effort and for your renewals strategy, of course. Then the log relationship between stakeholders, track interaction with them. That, of course, is the standard CRM features. You log the call, you log your emails from Outlook or from Gmail directly with the Salesforce integration. Those are the features that you need to leverage, and you never use them enough to track the interaction. You see, in my current state, if I didn't log my interaction, it would have been a lot harder in the first week when I was really in pain to kind of see, oh, where am I at with this client? If you don't log the interaction, people have to call you to pick it up. And when something wrong happens, you want this relationship to be logged so people can take over and know who are those people, what were the interaction, and where to pick it up from. And our last point here is to keep the form lean. There is a lot of donation pages that I see when we start some projects with clients where they are asking way too many questions on the donation form. And this is key to understand. When a person is making a donation, it has been touched on the gut level by your program, by the framework of mobilization that you've put in. The person is touched in his belly, it's not touched in his mind, and you don't want to keep their focus out of their belly back through their mind. And if you ask them their specific address, their employer, their household, who are their brother and sister, their social security number, whatever, I've seen a lot of fields that had nothing to do on the donation form. What is important, in your opinion, to gather when you track a donation? So I told you it's important to qualify and to get as much information as you need. But what are the key the key question you want to ask to a person that is already willing to give you, because when a person is here or here, this person wants to support you, and everything you're going to put in the form might be an obstacle to this person being to that page all the way back to the thank you letter that he's going to receive. You need to remove any possible obstacles in there. So that is really key. A person wants to give, you give them an amount, they click here, you want their credit card information, their email, first name, last name, eventually salutation, and that's it. Maybe the employer if you want, but it is always better to keep the form lean. Then you can pick up your phone and contact the person. Thank you for your support. So usually after a threshold of 250, so for example, you contact the person, you nurture the lead, but do not put any obstacles from this page to the checkout page. So keep the form lean. That is a key message that I want everyone to keep in here. So any question on those qualification process on the forms that you have in there, or the strategy? Okay, so we can move to the second part, and how to reach that person. And so I kept this slide very basic. It seems very basic, but not everyone is actually acknowledging that. Some people think you put a donation form here, our name is quite known, they'll go on this page, they'll support us, etc. And there is really an important thing to know. Putting an online form for donation doesn't make you earn donations. Online form is just a mean. The trigger to the donation will be how you reach them, how you get to the right person at the right time with the right information, the right call to action. We'll see it on the next slide. And so by this, you need to be as wide as possible with the channels you're going to use to kind of promote your pages. So you only need the link to your page there. It is usually not at all related to the donation form and solution that you're using, but you need to be very clear on that to know how to reach them. So it can be a campaign, it can be promoting the peer-to-peer campaign. You can have like a TV on the TV publicity that will put the people on your donation form. It can be a crowdfunding campaign. Those are the means of donations, of donation forms. Newsletters, always keep a call to action on your newsletters. You're going to reach them to update them on your current activities. Let them support you. Let them have a button right there, and always shorten the path from the time, the trigger in your mind that when you want to make a donation to the checkout page. Always make this path as short as possible. And of course, the last is direct emails and cold calling. It is a horrible task to do. I've done it many years, and it's not the things I enjoyed the most. With the right CRM, with the right tool, you don't forget anything, but you have to call a lot of people, you have to get a lot of refusal, but this is still the best way to build a relationship with someone that doesn't know about you. So always keep that in mind to leverage with the cold calling, and then call them to action, put them on your donation page, send them a follow-up email with the donate button. Always a short path to making a gift. Any question on this page? Okay, so we can move to the third part, and this is usually the most thrilling part. So how to engage them. So we've talked about having a donation form, accepting various means of payments, being able to build your form. All of these are just technical setup. You put the frame, but then you need to activate all of this. You can build the best restaurant in the world if you have no client coming in, if you are not calling them from the outside. Nobody will ever taste your food, and same thing applies to fundraising. Nobody will ever give to you just because you have a nice restaurant inside, you need to get them inside that place. And that thing is by the communication means that we saw inside, having a systematic call to action. Any interaction you have with the outside world, with your partners, with your existing donor, and with your prospect donor, always engage them with the right call to action. So basically, bit of I won't get into the sociology there too much, but you have the framework analysis. You always have a diagnostic framework, so you put a diagnostic of what's happening, then you have the prognostic, what is going to lead to, and then you say how do you address. That's the motivational framework. How do you address, how do you tackle this diagnostic that you made? And that is the core of your of all your organizations. I know I know most of you around here, and I know that you organization has identified a problem and is addressing it through its actions, through the knowledge it's creating, and around this, and you need to be getting support on this. So you promote, you advertise your actions. You work like hell and advertise, as Arnold Schwarzenegger likes to say it. So work like hell, advertise, but then call them to action to support and get beyond what you're already doing. So call to action on your websites. Any part of a website needs to have a donation button. You need to have this accessible from anywhere, because you never know when the person is going to trigger. He needs to be able to see right away, oh, here is where I make the donation. If you could do all this exercise of going on your website for the ones that have a donation form here, that have some call to action, put yourself in the boots of somebody arriving on your website, just heard about you in the press, getting on the website, think about how hard it is to actually make a donation. How many clicks do I need to do? And usually on any page of your website, if you are 5 clicks away from filling a form of the donation, you need to shorten this path. You need to have the button available everywhere. On the other side, the one-time versus recurring donation. Promoting the recurring donation is always key. So as you can see here on the donation form that we have, so you can have here regular massive payment. So there you need to click to make a recurring donation. What you can do on your donation form is to have it mandatory or like pre-filled, not as a one-time, but put in quarterly, put in monthly, and have it suggested to the person to more have a regular support than to have an actual just one-time donation I made and then I'm out, and you'll need to work more to re-engage this person. So recurring donation is always something to promote, and you can explain that to them also. Having a recurring donation can make you having some more visibility on the future of your funding, so that can allow you to at an earlier stage build some new programs, enhance the support you're already doing in the current program, enhance the amount of beneficiaries. All of this, you can really promote that. Recurring donation is key to get visibility on the funds in, and on the other side, but that's more on your side that you'll need to know, that is that recurring donation on the midterm is always more profitable than a one-time donation. So as we covered it before, the peer-to-peer, your best promoters, they are your supporters, and you can have this peer-to-peer campaign available. So it can be also connected to Facebook. Facebook is providing this possibility. You can have the birthday list. Instead of making me gift, make a donation to this organization. You want to have that available for you, for your current supporters. They want to advertise about the organization they support. They are the most impactful people that you might have, because people reading your newsletter, they are already your supporters. The best way to reach some new possibilities is to get those guys engaging their relatives, their friends, and their Facebook community, for example. And sport event fundraising, online sport events, this is the most common that we know. I've done it back in the days for Child Kids, an organization helping kids in the south of India, and you can run this marathon. It's also, if you're planning on running a marathon, it's a very good way not to give up when your body is letting you down. I would not have finished this race if I didn't have this fundraisers. So it's also a personal motivation that you can get yourself not to quit challenging events such as a marathon. Finally, so to engage your current supporters, as we already mentioned it, you get on the page of your supporter and you try to engage him on another channel. So, oh, I see you work for Hewlett Packard. Could you get me in touch with the HR or the social responsibility corporate social responsibility responsible, so we can get in touch with them? Those people are your points of entry, and those people can be leveraged to support you. They will be more than happy to get you in, connecting you with the people responsible of company giving at their employer. They will be most happy to have a volunteering opportunity to get beyond just giving 50 franc a month, and to just beyond getting those specular support. They want to get closer to you, closer to your programs, sometimes closer to your beneficiaries, if that's possible. Of course, you cannot have anyone in every beneficiary context to do volunteering, but this is key. Always engage your supporters on other channel, and having a net in there on your website to kind of get some new guys to support you, and even enlarging this net with the peer-to-peer campaign is a great mean of getting some good support. Any question on the engagement strategy? You might want to share one of your use cases that you have in the past. You might want to ask a question around that. Don't hesitate. I really would like to keep this more interactive, as much as I like to hear myself speak. Okay, so we can move to our last strategy point, is the nurturing. So first thing, cost of acquisition is always higher than the cost of renewal. So basically, renewing a guy that donated you last year will be a lot easier than getting a new person to know your organization and to give to it. So there you can really work on this this renewal by having leveraging the out-of-the-box Salesforce report, the most famous Libant, people who donated last year but unfortunately not this year. You have this report available if you're on the NPSP in your organization, and it gives you the hint of who didn't donate, and at the end of the year might be good to give a call to a guy that donated 1,000 francs last year but didn't this year. Maybe he just wanted to have a call, he just wanted more acknowledgement of what he did, and it might be good to pick up your phone and do that with a high, very high return on investment, in a position to just calling out of the blue some people that doesn't even know you. Second part, I already said it, work like hell and advertise. So when you have your programs, people don't know actually, and they cannot really know what you're actually doing. And so having some nice data and some nice metrics, some nice stories also, some beneficiaries can sometimes be willing to do a testimony, to say, here is what this organization brought me, and then you can leverage these testimonials on your newsletters with your current supporters. When you send an email at the end of the year with the tax receipts, don't just say, here is your tax receipt, bye-bye, maybe next year I hope you give again. Tell them, thanks to your donation, here is what we achieved this year, and really telling them point by point what is going on there. You might all have a majority of institutional fundraising, maybe going to corporate or foundations, and you all know as fundraisers that you need to put a lot of reporting to those guys so they carry on and they even make the next payments. But why don't you put a little bit of this work that you're already doing for those guys? You can have a little bit of this data pushed to your little donor to tell them, you are also a high net worth individuals for us. Even if you give 50 francs a month, 50 francs a year, all those people are your supporters. They need to be acknowledged and they need to be cherished as your biggest donor. Of course, with less effort, but show them professionalism and your gratefulness. But not only your gratefulness, show them professionalism, show them what you are doing with their money, even if it's a little. And that's the last thing also I wanted to share on that. You can do that even at an earlier stage when you have this fraction of donation, maybe $250, $50, things like that. When you have these fractions of the donation, you can tell them what is representing for you. You can say the example of SOS Méditerranée. They have on their website or on their fundraising campaign, they say how much a life vest is costing to them, how much the hygiene kits that they're giving to the people that they get on the boat and that they save from drowning in the Mediterranean. And those things, when you're a donor and you say, okay, I give $50, maybe it's just a drop in the ocean. Just as much as this NGO might be doing when there is so many people to save. But when you give $50 and you know, oh, that's the cost of one life vest, so my support might actually save someone. This is really important for the people that support, and you should always regard them as a great contributors, because the mass of individual gift can make a lot of funds for your organization, and it can be done with sometimes less effort of like recurring efforts. Cherishing, you just do as a batch. Here is what we did with your money to all of them. That's one report you do. You're going to touch maybe $1,000 with it, but they will be feeling special, and you need to make them feel as they are, because any supporters of your organization is a special person for your organization. And as of now, I am done with this presentation. I hope it was not too long. I wish it would have been more interactive, but we can definitely follow up with the discussion in here. And of course, unmute your microphone before you speak, and we can definitely carry on. And of course, we have the webinar video available if you want to watch it again or share it with your friends.
Thanks, Grégoire. So anyone has a question? You were very clear, Grégoire.
Maybe Vincent has something to ask.
Well, I don't know if you can hear me. I don't have a question specifically, but I really appreciate a few things that you've said, and more specifically, it's about creating value and explaining what you're making with the money. It's being as transparent as possible. And ultimately, this is all about being as flexible as possible, using the Salesforce platform, and having as much control as possible on your fundraising, not being dependent of it, but being in control of it. And this is also how you create value and how you maximize every donor, every engagement that you have with them. Creating as much personalization, knowing who they are. And I think this is the most important thing you've said today, Grégoire. This is really about ask yourself the right questions. Get to know your donor, what they want, who you are as well. So it's just being curious and very introspective from that aspect. So yeah, this is pretty much all I have to say. From the moment you ask yourself the right question, and I'm pretty sure that Nexell is really used to help you as well, just to ask yourself the right question, then the answer will be pretty obvious. And then the technology, and specifically Salesforce, is here to help answering these questions. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thanks, Vincent. Yeah, I believe it's one of the major takeaways there, and yeah, always as the right question, and that's what we systematically do, because you could just tell them, hey, Nexell, just build a donation form, tell us what's the best solution. There is never a best solution. There are some that are very dear to my heart, but it has to be the right fit to the client, and that is only done through addressing those questions. And so that's why I didn't want to get too deep into the specific solution.
And I would like to add one thing. This is a lot of trial and error, right? So you learn, even for very large international nonprofits, this is always trial and error. You need to adapt yourself. The donors are changing, especially right now with all the things happening in the world. The donor profile is changing. The way they want to donate is different. The reason they want to donate is different as well, as there is people becoming aware of social issues, environmental issues. Doesn't matter the mission that you have and what they really want to do. It's evolving very, very fast. And this is why you need the technology that will allow you to be super flexible and to operate on this with this notion of trial and error. Does it work? No. So let's switch and change something very quickly to our donation form, to our campaigns. Okay, they don't want to use that payment method. Fine. They don't want to answer to that specific field in the donation form. Fine. And very often what we see is that a lot of nonprofits, they have limited resources, not only financially, but in terms of human resources as well, limited amount of time. They need to be very reactive. And the technology is very static and doesn't allow them this flexibility to change things on the go. And this is the whole purpose of Salesforce. And I think that with the right technology, the right partner, just to advise you and to show you what kind of questions you should ask yourself, then this is becoming much, much, much easier.
Indeed, and also the question to ask: do we need sometimes a donation form, but sometimes you don't necessarily need to integrate it. If the amount is manageable, you can use the default gift entry. I'm thinking about Karin that is here on the call. So it's nice to see you, Karin and Paula. And so here, sometimes the priority has to be addressed, and it's never a good call to say, oh, we need to integrate it when it's 20 donation a week or a month. It can be sometimes managed manually by importing that. And so it's really always vetting what is the right return on investment, what is the right effort, and do we need to address those points or find just a workaround to limitate the cost in there. Anyone else who wanted to share some insight, feedback, or having a question? Of course, you can always get back in touch with us if you want to run such project. Might be also with Vincent from FinDoc. With also this second part that I have to mention is also the offline payments treatments, the BVR, the bulletin versement, so the orange payment slips that there is always hard to reconcile when you do huge campaigns. And so FinDoc is part of the solution that allows you to get the donation form online, etc., but also handling the offline payments and reconciliation of the payments when people don't write with the nice writing or things like that. Yes. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, Grégoire. Thanks a lot. So just for information, we are running a live cast on the 20th of May. Like to join, it's about where we are when it comes to digitalization after the pandemic last year. So feel free to join us. You can follow us on our website and you'll see all the events that we're running there. So otherwise, I wish you a nice evening and hopefully we'll see you soon in one of our webinars. Thank you very much. Thanks, Grégoire.
Thank you all. Goodbye.